After a month-long season that seemed like a year, we are finally about to enter a season that is arguably going to be the most important of the entire year. And in today's video, I want to talk about every single trio that has already been able to qualify for LAN, and I mean every single one from NA to EU to West, Brazil, Asia, OCE, Middle East, every single region. I also want to talk about the brand new trios that we have, who still needs to qualify for LAN, and what players are still looking for a trio going into their last season to make the global championships. We got a lot to go over in today's video. Real quick, to start though, please subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, as we try our best to upload daily competitive content for you guys. Please just go K-Dog in the Fortnite item shop if you guys want to support me even more. Follow me on my Twitch, link in the description down below if you guys want to watch any of these tournaments with me. Without further ado though, let's get straight into it. All right, so we have 12 total LAN spots left, 4 going to EU, 2 to Central, 1 to West, 1 to Brazil, 1 to Asia, 1 to Middle East, and then 2 to OCE, because the Season 1 OCE FNCS winner ended up getting banned. We're going to talk about some different trios that are going to be going to West, as well as the very difficult task that is going to be trying to qualify on NA Central. Let's start off though with everybody that has already been able to officially book their ticket into LAN. I also want to say what I think each of their LAN potential is as well. So let's start off with the FNCS winners from Chapter 6 Season 1 of Acorn, Agers, and Poyo. Now, this is one of the teams that has kind of like the most controversy with them so far going into next season, since we know the vibes necessarily haven't been the greatest from them. Acorn actually ended up going live the other day and kind of talking about the vibes on his trio, and he says in his opinion, he doesn't really think that vibes matter all that much, and that the vibes are not as bad as people make it seem. Of course, this team is coming off of a pretty disappointing 5th place finish in the last grand finals, and unfortunately for them, it seems like there's almost a gap growing between them and even being the second best trio on NA, because to me right now it seems like Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual and Clixiamzo and Higgs are just like far and away the 2 best teams on NA, and then Acorn, Agers, and Poyo have honestly a lot of room to fill if they want to be able to catch those trios again. I think if we're just talking about the pure potential of this team, this is always going to be an FNCS caliber trio. If they're able to lock in, fully grind together, and get back to that FNCS winning form, I think they do still have 100% top 5 potential at LAN, but I just need to see so much more from these guys still. The next team that was able to qualify that season out of NA was Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual. Of course, they got second place in that grand finals, and of course, any team that has Peterbot and Cold in it is always going to be a potential LAN winning team. Cold already has an absolutely insane LAN placement. Peterbot is currently the reigning defending FNCS global champion. I think the vibes are honestly super good on this trio again. I think at first when Peterbot and Cold wanted to drop Ritual for Poyo, there was a little bit of animosity between them, but they seem to be like all really good friends again. They played things like Reload together. They played the last Cash Cup with him, Ritual, and Poyo together, and I think Ritual is finally really starting to find himself in that support role, just playing off of Peterbot and Cold now. So of course, I think this team does have a win potential. Let's take it over to EU and the team that won the first season of trios of Vico, Vino, and Flixie. This is another team that I do believe has win potential. I think they honestly really opened a lot of people's eyes in this last season when they were able to get 6th place with no drop spot for the entirety of 12 games and being contested for all of day 2 as well. I think Vico continues to show why he is one of the best players in the world. Him and Flixie are coming off of getting top 5 at last year's global championships, and we know Vino is arguably one of the best LAN players as well, coming so close to winning a LAN. If this team is able to get an uncontested drop spot going into LAN, they 100% have winning potential as well. Another team that I honestly think has win potential is Malibuca, Ping, and Wox. Arguably the most underrated trio in the entire world, got 2nd place in Season 1, were in 1st place after day 1 until they got landed on by Vico, Vino, and Flixie on day 2, finished up in 4th place. Wox, to me, when I did my top 10 player ranking videos, make sure you guys go check that video out if you guys haven't already, I said that he is currently the most underrated player in the entire world. These guys have all had pretty solid LAN placements as well. They all got LAN experience. I would not be surprised if this trio ended up winning the global championships, even though I feel like that would be a surprise to a lot of other people. Let's talk about some trios though that honestly would surprise me if they ended up winning, like Marius, Vanya, and Pixie. For any team that is very high ground oriented, they're always going to have a chance to be able to win a major tournament, and we saw them do exactly that in the last grand finals. To me, I think their ceiling is a top 3 at LAN. If you guys remember, unfortunately, we were not able to see Venya play the last LAN that he was supposed to play with Swizzy because he had visa issues. I think he should be 100% ready to go though for this LAN, and he is playing with Marius and Pixie, who Pixie already has LAN experience. I don't think Marius has any crazy LAN experience. You guys could correct me if I'm wrong about that though in the comment section down below. Even though they just won FNCS, I'm still not like particularly super high on these guys going into LAN, but I do still think they have top 3 potential. Another trio that I think has top 3 potential and could arguably make a name for themselves for being the potential best team on NA before FNCS starts is Clix, Higgs, and Yamzo. Now, I said earlier, I do still think that they are just the second best team on NA, but these guys have been grinding together more than pretty much any other trio, basically in the entire world, taking the Star Wars season more serious than any other team, showing that they all want to win, that they all have the motivation and the passion to still want to win as well. Now, do I think they're just going to go out there and win FNCS Globals? As of right now, I would probably have to lean closer to probably not, but I think this team really does have potential to be a top 3 or 4 team in the entire world, and that is why I'm saying I think they have top 3 potential at LAN. Now, for a group of trios that I am kind of just uncertain of currently, I have Reed, Cooper, and Curly, Aminus, Braids, and Visuals, Ferdoxy, Pablo, and Chino, and Pix, Darm, and Demas. I think all of these guys have the potential to finish inside of the top 10, but I'm not necessarily like super high on any of their ceilings yet. I think I need to see them all play together for like one more season before I really decide like how highly I actually want to rank them going into LAN, especially Pix, Darm, and Demas, since these guys have literally only played 2 grand finals ever, so they have 0 LAN experience, barely any grands experience, but they have literally gotten 5th and 3rd place in the only 2 grand finals they have ever played. So maybe they're going to be on that like Cooper type story arc with very few grand finals experience, but then go into LAN and somehow just pull off a shocking win. But as of right now, they're all kind of grouped right now into like that top 10 category for me. And I guess you can honestly say the same thing for like Tayson, Chris, and Chicho. Chicho is a very good LAN player. Chris is kind of like that wild card, and then Tayson is a player who is in all of these GOAT debate talks, but has slowly been falling down a lot of people's all-time list, and the main reason for that is just that he doesn't have any good LAN placements at all. Now, people can make the argument that like the prime of Tayson's career was during the time where there was no LAN events, so he was never really able to maximize his prime on LAN. But I think the main reason why Tayson wanted to play with somebody like Chicho so badly was so that he could finally get a decent LAN placement, and I think a top 10 is 100% on the cards for them. I just don't know if I would necessarily be betting on that. And then a team that I feel like you just can never count out, even though they haven't gotten a single top 3 yet in grand finals, is Swizzy, Queasy, and Murstache. This is also the last trio out of all of NA and EU that have so far secured their spots into the global championships. I think when you have a team that has Queasy on it going into LAN, especially him playing with Swizzy and Murstache, who are both top 10 players in the world to me, even if their placements necessarily haven't reflected it yet, I am always going to say these guys have win potential. There is only 2 spots left on NA and 4 spots left on EU. Some of the big names that still need to qualify for EU is like Mr. Savage, Chap, and Rezon. I think if this team is fully locked in and grinding, they 100% will have the potential to be able to do that, especially if they stick together. I love the team dynamic with Chap being the main fragger, Rezon playing that like support slash fragging role, and then Savage being like the hardcore IGL and Tarper in endgames. I am going to be analyzing a lot of their game plan in this upcoming season, and I think that they do have the potential to qualify for LAN. I made a whole separate video going over all of these teams, so I'm not gonna like go too in depth on what I think about all of them and their chances to qualify for LAN. But some other big name trios that still need to qualify is like Booga, Rapid, and Threats. They just got back together after being just 1 spot off of failing to qualify last season. They tried to play with Muzz for a couple of cash cups, but I guess they just would rather play with Threats instead. Like I said in one of my previous videos, I do believe that Booga, Rapid, and Threats are one of my locked teams that I want to say are 100% going to qualify for LAN this upcoming season. One of those teams that I do still have a lot of question marks about though is the current trio of Muzz, Rise, and G Money. Now Muzz and Rise, I feel like just are such more established players and competitive than G-Money, especially since he has, I don't even think, switched to keyboard over a year ago at this point. This is one of the teams that I wouldn't be surprised if they decided to split up, which led to a different Snake season happening. I could really see them eventually merging with a trio of one of the players of either Bolts, Kanata, and Sphinx if those guys continue to not work out within the first couple cash cups of the season. The scheduling that Fortnite is actually following for this next upcoming season is so weird though, and a lot of these teams are really not going to have a lot of time or practice to decide who they want to actually queue up with by the time FNCS comes around, because the new season is going to start on the 7th. I don't think Div Cups are going to start until around the 17th, I'm pretty sure. So I think we're only going to get like 1 or 2 Eval Cups before that. Then we're only going to get 2 Div Cups. And then Fortnite is going to go on a 2-week summer vacation. And then literally just like 3 or 4 days after that, we are going to be going straight into FNCS. So there is real potential that we're only going to get like 1 or 2 Evals and then 2 Div Cups before FNCS, which is honestly just insane to me. I think the other like big, like established, prolific LAN team of Cammy and Seti and their third of Hari are the other like only fully official trio that still needs to qualify for LAN. It's crazy that we're living in 2025 and there is a real possibility that they don't even necessarily come close to being able to qualify for LAN. 4 spots, of course, is a lot, but if this team gets contested, which every single season looking forwards now, there's always the potential that they are. And even in seasons that they haven't been contested, they still really have not been that impressive. And it kind of does suck to maybe potentially see Cammy and Seti really start to fade out if they're not able to qualify for LAN this next season. All right, let's talk about all of the brand new trios we have. Now, we don't necessarily have a crazy amount still, but some of the main ones we have is like Thomas HD, Sky, and Scroll. The all Danish trio finally decided to team up. I think Sky is the one yelling these guys, and this is one of the teams that I am pretty confident in that should be able to qualify for LAN next season. They looked very good in the last like Eval Cups they played of the season, and of course it was a full entire Star Wars season, so I'm trying not to put like too much weight on their performance from that to actually projecting the future of their trio, but I did still really like what I saw out of them. I want to talk about an OCE team because there is 2 LAN spots on OCE this season. The main one that I want to talk about though is Oatly teaming up with the former duo FNCS winners of Daneth and Tinka. I think this could be a very fun trio, and we all want to see that Oatly face reveal, so hopefully he's able to secure his spot into the global championships. I know there was like a whole like 2-week span where everybody thought that like after skits got banned that Oatly would have qualified for LAN, but unfortunately Fortnite ended up changing the rules and there is now going to be 2 whole LAN spots available in the last OCE FNCS of the year. We also, of course, have to talk about a player that is making like his 10th return to competitive Fortnite of Mero. Now, currently, if you go into Mero's chat, it says he doesn't have any official trios yet. He has been playing a lot with Dukes though, and Bucky is also looking for a completely brand new trio as well, who was formerly playing with Dukes, but we will talk about him later. I think there is a real possibility that both Mero and Dukes end up teaming up. The only unfortunate thing for Mero is he is still currently in Div 3. And if you listen to what we were talking about earlier, if there is only 2 Div Cups before FNCS starts, then Mero literally has to play perfect in both of those Div Cups to get from Div 3 to Div 2 all the way up until Div 1. He will then have no like actual skilled set lobby finals experience, and he will just be thrown straight into FNCS. I think it's going to be very difficult for Mero to be able to even queue FNCS this next upcoming season, but he is of course one of the goats of Fortnite, and if anybody is able to do that, then I'm gonna believe in the 6-time FNCS champion of Mero. We also do have news on who Mongraal is going to be playing the rest of the year with. We saw Kaido tweet out, ready for the whole year with Mongraal and Haijo. Now these guys only got to play 1 official tournament together, the last Eval Cup of the season, and they unfortunately were not able to qualify, finishing in 207th place. I don't necessarily want to say that like this trio is cooked or anything because of 1 Eval Cup performance. I think Mongraal and his fans should be happy if they're just able to qualify for grands. I think globals is a little bit of a stretch for Mongraal's expectations for this upcoming season, but I do believe that qualifying for grand finals is 100% possible. The only other real news that we got was like Scare tweeting out that he is looking for a brand new trio, and he split with Edgy and Chance. I saw some people maybe saying that Dukes might potentially be joining Edgy and Chance, which I think could be a very interesting trio dynamic. Edgy, Scare, and Chance though were one of those like just mid-tier teams on the region that I don't think I would be very confident in their abilities to qualify for globals. So I get why they decided to split up, but I do think that they were a pretty easy lock for at least a top 10 every grand finals. But NA is going to be an absolute bloodbath this upcoming season with only 2 trios being able to make it. I think the other main big name EU player that we have to look out for this upcoming season is Vidil. Now Vidil has not tweeted anything out that he's like looking for a new trio or anything. The last team that he ended up playing with was Cringe and Volko. Now obviously I'm very confident in that team's ability to make grand finals. Where I do have some question marks for them though is this team a good enough trio to be able to qualify for LAN? I think right now this is another one of those teams that I just feel like I need to see more out of them before I really want to rank them super highly. Let's conclude this video by talking about these small regions though and go over all of the other trios that have already been able to qualify for LAN. So on West so far, we have Bakapars and Pump and Arc Salco and School. 1 spot left on West. The main people that I'm seeing that are pretty willing to go to West is like Bucky, maybe Dukes, maybe Mero. But even for some other players that I had some potential thoughts of them going to West, like Crazy's trio, whoever Okus's brand new trio is going to be, we still don't know if they're going to West or staying Central yet. On Brazil, that still has 1 spot left. We have King Phaser and Fizen, and then Striker, Tisco, and Kadu. Sorry if I mispronounced any of those names. Asia, there is also only 1 spot left. The trios that have been able to qualify is like Koyota, who people say is the Asian Peterbot, and his trio of Rise and Yuma. And then bear with me for this one, Reito, Razzle, and Kim Kana. That's the other trio that has already been able to qualify out of Asia, and there is 1 spot left. On Middle East, we have FKS, Hero, and Ald, and Snowy, Sod, and Rue. Also 1 spot left for Middle East. And then OCE that still has 2 spots left and only 1 official quad trio so far of Resigns, Power Alex, and Anon. Other than that though, hey, let me know what you guys would rate this Star Wars season out of 10 in the comment section down below. I'm so excited to get back to grinding next season. So make sure you guys subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of those future videos. Remember, please use code KDOG in the Fortnite item shop if you guys want to support me even more, especially when buying the brand new season's battle pass. I cannot thank everybody enough who uses code KDOG. Follow me on my Twitch, link in the description down below if you guys want to watch any of these future tournaments with me. YouTube says enjoy one of these 2 videos up on the screen right now, so go check them out if you guys haven't already. Follow me on my Twitter, link in the description down below if you want to keep up to date with everything to do with Fortnite competitive. Thank God for another day, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.